when you're looking for something and you just want it to work, it's nice not to have to reinvent the wheel or to invent the wheel and figure out systems and how do you do this so it works? And so often people buy a franchise and they're given the, McDowell's manual for success,
Mhm.
and all you got to do is plug yourself in. It's probably going to work,
Right.
and so a lot of people do that. The problem is sometimes they plug into a type of business and a type of system where you just bought yourself about a 90-hour a week job,
Right.
and you probably and not just bought as in, oh, I paid a few bucks. You probably paid tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for this business opportunity that's proven. So a lot of people get into that, and then they get into it like, I always tell the story about the friend of mine that got into the UPS store, bought a UPS store, and because he just wanted to do his background is geology. He was a geologist, and he made some money and retired, and but not enough money, and then he was going stir crazy, and so he thought, you know what, I'm going to buy in this case, it was the UPS store. So for all the legal people out there, we're not dissing UPS. It's just this guy's example. And from my view of this guy's example. There we go. So there's the legal disclaimer. But so our sons played on the same lacrosse team. That's how I met the guy. Kids went to the same school, played on the same lacrosse team, got to know him, became friends. I saw him at a lacrosse game, and it was um, after Christmas. It was after Christmas, and I think it was probably after New Year's too. And I saw him, and I went down to because he was walking along the field and observing, and because he's into lacrosse, so I went down and said, "Hey, how's it going?" And he
Right.
turned and looked at me, and he was slumped over and bags under his eyes. It looked like he didn't look healthy, and I and and he said, "Oh man, I've been working." Like however many days, 10, 12, 14, 17 days, whatever he said, like 14 hours a day. Cause this is the busiest time of the year for shipping.
Right.
And it's the highest frequency time when his employees don't want to work because they want to go visit grandma in Kansas or wherever she is. Right. So off the employees go. Somebody has to do these packages. And so when the people aren't showing up, he's got to be there. And when they aren't, so he's working double shifts for 3 weeks straight. Looks and he goes, man, I got to get out. I got to get out of this deal. But he paid like $300,000 for it. Now it's his. It's not like he can go get a different job. He's got to figure out what to do with this. He ultimately sold it, washed his hands of it, and somebody else has the anchor around their neck. But he got into it thinking, man, this is the ticket. I don't have to figure this stuff out. So that idea is good. The franchise idea is good because sometimes it can take forever to figure out the right system of how to do a particular business, right? And most people never figure it out. They get in, they just sort of struggle for a long time, and finally they quit or do their best to sell it. You see a lot of people when they get older, they just go, look, that own a business, they go, I just want to get out of this thing. I just want to sell it. I'm just so sick and tired of doing it. Same thing people are thinking with their jobs. They just can't wait to die or retire. Same with a lot of people have businesses that they never quite figured out how to really get the sort of freedom they were looking for, but they got into an expensive franchise, bought themselves a more than a full-time job. So the system idea is smart, but what you get into, you have to be cautious. So like when we look at what we do and the things that we offer to people, like we have a system. It's not a franchise, but a franchise like where you come in and we go, all right, here's what you want to, our job here is to show you how to build freedom and with the fewest moves as possible in the industry that we're in. So that's our quote unquote franchise. That's what it is. So it's in the Visa Mastercard business. You're getting merchants set up to accept cards and all the ways that exist to accept cards and understand that industry. Just like you were going to get into a UPS store or a Baskin Robbins or a Dunkin' Donut or or steam cleaning or what you name it. You name the franchise. McDonald's. All of these things. They all have their system. But the thing is, what are you trying to achieve with this? If we're talking about the Freedom Challenge here, the first thing that I'd recommend people do is before you get into a franchise is, all right, where does this go? What do you really want? And this is, people seem to look not quite far enough. They're a little short sighted, but if you look far enough and you go, okay, what I really want is this style of life, this lifestyle. And so now as you look back, you go, okay, what can I get into that can fund that, create that, build it? Because somehow you have to pay for it and probably have to work. So what are you working at to be able to be able to get that lifestyle? And if you get into a franchise, most franchises are going to be service related, right? And your time is going to have to. It's hard to scale unless you're getting a bunch of locations. Like if you've got, I had a buddy that had a pizza shop, and he goes, "Man, one pizza shop it doesn't get you free, nor does two, but about three. When you have three pizza shops or restaurants or whatever the case is, in this case, pizza shop, that's when you can hire a general manager to look over all three, and you manage the manager, and you can do that from maybe wherever you might want to be. So, so anyway, so when people are looking at a franchise and then they're looking at us side by side, ours is really inexpensive compared to uh, any other franchise.
Right.
It's totally different, low overhead, low cost, and you can actually get the freedom that some people want, which is passive income, and you don't have to work sometimes for a couple months at a time. Once you get up there and your passive income meets or exceeds your bills, you are free. So this is a sort of the opposite of a franchise that's like buying a job. This is a sort of franchise like opportunity where you can create real freedom, the kind of freedom that most people want, but they go after it just a little. They instead of finding the business, the franchise that will get them free, they often just look at trading a job for a franchise. So then we can look at all kinds of different franchises, compare them, apples to oranges.
And I think what I think is really interesting about that too is that you look at, excuse me, what it actually costs to get into a franchise. A lot of these franchises, they're tens of thousands of dollars just to get in. You have to demonstrate a certain net worth. I know somebody I knew was looking at a McDonald's franchise years ago, and I don't know what the deal is today, but I remember what it was. What I was told then was it took like $250,000 just to buy the franchise. Then you got to start looking at the real estate investment. Then you also had to have like $2.5 million worth of demonstratable net worth, because they knew that that ramp to get it going and producing it's not just the entry fee, right? It's like it's a dip. It's a huge dip. It's like you pay the entry fee and then you got operating expenses. Then it kind of does one of these, and then it hits just kind of a certain level. And you can only move so many, cheeseburgers a day, right? So you
Right.
do kind of you kind of cap out. It's not really a glass roof, if you will, kind of deal. And we actually have a guy that works with us that actually owned a franchise, and he was just over broke when he owned that franchise. He's like, man, it's, we're struggling to make ends meet. He's got enough plastic silverware to last him a lifetime. And what he found is that with the expense of getting in here compared to there, and the income opportunities were drastically different. We
Yeah.
have people that make over $30,000 a month working with us, some of our sales partners, and he could never sell enough product to ever get to that level. So
No.
more expense, but yet limited income potential. And then you got to think of the day-to-day stuff. The freedom, and I guess it's different for everybody, right? I mean, freedom for me is I want to do my thing, and I want to do my thing wherever in the world that I care to be. And even if you have that general manager at the 3 location pizza shop, you still have to manage that guy. And when that guy
Yeah.
comes up and he's, had a horrible skiing accident, he's laid up for 3 months, you're back at it, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, okay, how do I position this where you have enough free time and freedom to do? Because I would bet if you ask everybody, there's a lot of other things that most people would rather do than, flinging pizza dough all day or flinging
Yeah.
burgers or doing whatever. They'd rather be doing a lot of other things or being with a lot of other different types of people. But you just never get away when you buy a franchise. I've never heard anyone say, man, I bought a franchise and I'm free. I've never seen that. So,
No, they're always seem to be fighting with franchise. You
right,
know,
right.
oh
I mean,
man, yeah,
yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
remember
they
when
really,
we used to, back in the day, we processed for a particular sandwich joint that got really popular. It had like 15,000 locations all over the country. And if you wanted a foot long or a 6 inch and with chips and, a value meal, and I'm not going to say names, but we processed for a guy that owned like 16 of these things. And I
yeah.
remember we were going through that account setup process with him. And he was like, my biggest problem is fighting the franchise. It's like, it's easy to do what we do. We sling sandwiches. It's not a big deal. But it's like, man, they're always in here. Oh, your napkins aren't right. We want the logo to be like this. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not a route I care to go.
Yeah. Well, there's, so maybe we can compare and contrast the things that a franchisee deals with
Right.
versus, I don't know if there's not really a, yeah, we could compare them to the what they would be doing under that category of type of work over on
Right.
our side. So if you look at us versus any sort of franchise, uh, one, the fee to get in, ours is extremely low. Theirs is extremely high. It doesn't matter what you're getting into. The comparison, ours is like this, and even the closest one is going to be like this,
Right.
right? Uh, we show you, it's not just a manual, but we have what's called portfolio builder. So they'll give you the manual and they've got all the training. We've got portfolio builder, and then you've got us. So we go, all right, here's the um how you want to look at these accounts. Here's the inside track by somebody who's done this to in a big sort of way, and started from nothing, and built it, and has experienced a lot of things. Hard won wisdom, we'll call it.
Right.
Where so I would bet that the people that you train with at corporate, I've been on I've met corporate trainers. You meet them on airplanes, right?
Yeah.
and,
Right.
and they go, oh, I'm flying into, we've got a new location. And so you've got that person who's never had one of these restaurants. Never.
No
They're
practical
corporate
experience.
trainer. They've got the book, and they tell you about the napkins, right? You need to
Right.
have these napkins 4 inches away from the salt shakers. And if it's
Right.
not, it's a clear violation. You'll be getting a letter from our compliance team. So, so it's a little bit different. And then as you're going through it, so you get the hard-earned wisdom from somebody who's done it right up front. And then as you're going through it, you get the same, the hard-won wisdom from everything along the way. And of course, they've got people at corporate and all these things, but it's a little different perspective, right? It's a little different vantage point, I would say, with us, with training and support, because we've done what you're doing, and done it, and in the systematic way that we have.
Mhm.
So there's the fee to get in, and then what you experience.
And let
Just
me touch base on that one sec, because I'm very close to someone experiencing that right now. My sister and brother-in-law were looking at this franchise program. They were all hot and bothered about it for a minute because they were someone turned them on to it and they were super excited, and you had to buy a territory, right? Like they had to buy a state. And
right,
the cost of the state was based on some kind of loose, weird, like something they didn't quite understand. But bottom line, it was 80 grand to buy the state so they could own this. And so, they're trying to run the numbers, right? What does that look like? What does our time look like? What is the income potential? All these different things. And they sent out a corporate, the guy's name was like Emmanuel. He showed up and he could dance great and he was graceful and all these things. But they were like, okay, so what do you do in this? And he's like, well, I've never actually done that. I'm just showing you how to work. And they're going, what? You've never sold this, nor have you ever installed this. So you have no idea. You're just showing me how to work some operating system on a iPad. So they felt really disenchanted. They thought, I'm glad we didn't throw down that 80 grand, because that's not I want to be with someone who goes, look, been there, done that, man. Here, let me take you out, or let me get on the phone with you, and I'm going to show you exactly how this works. That's like unheard of. It's always a corporate trainer's never done it. He's been in a
Yeah.
training and he's been taught, so he was zero practical experience, and that, and you always know too, because it just doesn't sound right. You
Yeah.
know
It
what?
didn't, never quite works out right.
Right,
Right? They
right,
go, yeah, that's not really, it sounds good. Well, right, it sounds good before you get into it and do it, and you go, "Yeah, it doesn't work quite the way this guy says it does."
right.
Yeah, maybe it works different in Omaha versus Cleveland. I don't know, you know, and of course it doesn't. But yeah, so it's a big difference. The hard won wisdom, the actual where the rubber hits the road, and
Mm,
that's one of the things we've always been good at. Is where the rubber hits the road, we understand exactly what needs to be done. And
right,
in most scenarios we've seen, and say every once in a while there's a new scenario, but human nature wise, there are very few new scenarios. Technology wise, there's always new scenarios, but human nature wise is really the bulk of what you're dealing with. And then, we're awfully good at that, and we've got other people on the team who are continue to stay up to speed on the technology and all the regulations from Visa, Mastercard, and all that kind of stuff. So a low fee to get in, and then you're with somebody who has done it, knows how to do it, could help you get up to speed fast. Like the difference between watching a show on TV about fishing and going with a really good fishing guide,
right. Yeah,
or reading a book about fishing, right? Versus going with a really good fishing guide is probably really more like it. Or you call up somebody about fishing, they go, "I don't know, my fishing support online is is probably outsourced to some other country too. They don't
right,
even know." anyway,
right. Yeah, right.
anyway, anyway. So what other aspect of it? So then um
Well, I think the biggest
the
one, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm going to. No,
go ahead.
no,
I,
I'm sorry, but like, I think everybody understands, and what in talking with even my sister and brother-in-law about our industry, and going, look, we thrive on passive income. And then I kind of explained how it works is, when merchants run transactions, there's costs involved. We get a little percentage of that cost every time they run a transaction. And, I could see the wheels kind of turning, and I'm going, so it's not like in the deal they were looking at, they had to go out and pound sales all day long. And they would hope that within 6 months after this product wore out, that these people would decide to repurchase from them. And I was like, yeah, we don't have that really like that. It's every month you're getting something. And I don't know of any, and I'm not out looking at franchises. I mean, you hear about them because we're out in business and you talk to people.
yeah,
I don't know any franchises that give you the opportunity for passive income. And passive income, and from what I understand at this level that we're talking about, is the only way to truly get free. You can only be free with passive income. Otherwise, it's active income, and it means
yeah.
you've constantly driving the machine to continue making the same money that you're making. Where passive income, you kind of, whatever plateau you want to be on is where where you can achieve.
Right. And it gives you once you get up to a certain or at any point. You know what? I sometimes equate it to a vending machine business. You know,
Mhm.
imagine if you had vending machines. And so imagine a vending machine, people buy the stuff and you go around and collect the money and restock with whatever it is. And I used to know a guy who really made a lot of money in the vending business, but and so that's good that he made a lot of money in the vending business. And this is, imagine credit card terminals as a little vending machine
Right,
so how many vending machines, and so his game was how many vending machines can I get out there? And he's like, oh, I just got to deal with the University of Minnesota. I put in like 40 vending machines all over the place and good. Well, now he's got to go around every time these kids had the munchies, after bar time and drain all the Doritos out of his vending machines. He got to get scamper on back there, and with his truck full of Doritos and fill it back up and stock the
right,
other stuff and all the stuff. Ours is the credit card terminals and software and that kind of thing is like a vending machine you never have to service. You just the game is how many can you get in there, and you really don't have to service them. The merchant doesn't they don't want to buy more stuff from you. It's good to
No.
keep in contact, so they know who you are in case something goes sideways or they don't understand how to run a $6 million transaction from Zimbabwe, or they run it and it gets all jammed up. And it's good to keep in contact, and also they can recommend you to other folks. But it's like a vending machine. How many of these little vending machines can you get out there? How many? Because each one is going to produce a different amount of money, just like a vending machine. But you never have to fill it back up. It plugs into it plugs
Hmm.
into
Hmm.
the financial universe, and people run cards and you get money, and it's the game is how many of those can you get placed out there.
Right.
And so the game is too. It's like, okay, if you've got about, let's say you want to make $10,000 a month. Well, you want to have about 200 and whatever our number is, 223 little vending machines out there, and
Right.
that gives you $10,000 a month. And compare that to the vending machine business. You don't have to restock Doritos or Hostess Ho-Hos or Coke or any of that stuff.
Right.
You don't have to want when the thing goes cold, the electricity goes out, all that stuff. You don't have to have a van to carry all this stuff. You don't have people like this
Right.
guy when he got the University of Minnesota account. He's like, okay, well, now I've got that, but I don't have time to do it. So now I've got to find somebody,
Right.
and now you've got to pay them health insurance. And what happens when they, eat
Mhm.
all the Doritos and leave your truck at the side of the road?
Right.
All these things that you have to deal with. And, and so how we typically do it is you do it all by yourself. You have very little overhead. You make the connections, you build this massive referral network, business comes into you, you write it from wherever you are. And you start with the way we train is, let's show you how to do this from, it doesn't matter where you are. You can do
Mhm.
it from pretty much wherever you are. And here's how, and here's the system that we run. Here's how you do this. And then the game is how fast can you put it together? Where in a typical franchise or any sort of business, there's no game involved.
Right.
Maybe like your brother-in-law and sister. It's like, maybe how fast can we get up to speed? But
Right.
then for the rest of your life, you're servicing this stuff
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and hoping then maybe what's the out? Are you hoping to sell that to somebody else? You're just looking to hopefully
Hmm.
save enough money before this thing all goes to hell in a hand, goes away. What's the game?
Right.
Our game is freedom. It's passive income.
Right.
How fast can you get free? And that's the challenge here, right? The freedom challenge is how fast can you get free doing this? And we'll show you exactly all the things that we know how to do. And then you can use it so it fits you, but don't get too far from the system. Just
Right.
like a franchise, there's a little bit of leeway, but in most franchises, there's not much leeway. They want you to do it just like this because they want everybody who walks into the store nationwide to have the same kind of feel and experience.
Hmm.
W- We don't have that. What we want to do is like we've seen a lot of ways to do this, and here's the way we found. If you want to get free, here's the
Right.
game we play, and here's how we found to make it go as absolutely fast as possible. And of course, we're always looking to adapt, right? We're always looking to make it go faster and better. But this way is hasn't had much variation over the since
No.
we figured it out. Technology again changed a little bit, but
Hmm.
our targets changed a little bit. Uh, it- uh, but the system works really slick, and again, with the fewest number of moving parts, and how fast can you get free? That's our system. That's our franchise like opportunity.
And the
Cost
interesting,
to get in, it costs a little
well,
bit to get involved, but it's nowhere near. The
yeah,
fee that you pay us to get in is far less than the
mhm,
value you receive. And then you own the knowledge too. You own this ability, these things that we've taught you. You own it for the rest of your life. We hope you stay here and
right.
apply it with us. But you can take it anywhere in the world and do whatever it is you want to do. Teach your kids how to do it. Yeah. It's
Well,
yeah,
and
it's
that's
it's a unique
that
experience.
that's something that I think too that some of our sales partners are doing. They're going, okay, there needs to be a successor here. There needs to be, someone's because they build this machine, this referral machine that is going to keep sending referrals whether you're there or not. You just got to have someone there
Right.
to, it's
Right.
built relationships, and so those are things that, and I would say out of all our sales partners, when you look at their business, all of them have maybe a different vertical, right? Maybe I'm different industry type, maybe it's this, but the core foundation of it, like the general operating of it and the how-tos of it is all the same. And it's funny
Yeah.
when you talk to them, they'll talk about their vertical, but that underlying core, every one of them does exactly what they were shown how to do. And it's what we did. You know, it's not,
Right.
they're shown by people who've done it. They're not shown that whole corporate trainer kind of thing, but it's really interesting to, and that I think the nice thing, and I don't want to get morbid, but I'm going to just for a second. I mean, obviously no one lives forever, right? And I think what a lot of people really like about what we've done, our sales partners, is that, eventually we're all going to meet our maker, whatever that may mean. And, these guys, they assign, they have a beneficiary, and the
Right. Yeah.
beneficiary doesn't have to come in. Imagine if you're the beneficiary of this McDonald's, right? Or this pizza joint. Like, oh,
Right.
shit,
Oh,
I got to learn how
crap.
to sling burgers now. Oh man, they don't. It's like, no,
Thanks, Dad.
yeah. I wish you wouldn't have, one of those deals.
Yeah.
Or they get into this messy, like, and I've, dealt with that recently with the passing of my father. Looking at his estate, I've had to. You got to make decisions. This is real simple. Okay, now you're the beneficiary. Okay, now it shifts to you. End of story. You don't have to go learn a bunch of it. Just you're already dealing with enough stuff now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Well, that's true, and that's I'm glad you brought that up. Right, when people get involved with us, when they become, you know, join this Freedom Challenge, and basically it's an agency of
right,
our company. Uh, right, if something happens to you, you have a beneficiary, or your money, your passive income goes to your beneficiary. Things like that. One. There aren't beneficiaries in business. It doesn't work that way. If you buy a UPS store or a bunch of Pizza Huts or Burger Kings, it's not going to work that way. You've got to arrange that yourself. But we'll arrange that. Uh, you know, so if something happens to you, we've already got that person set up. We contact them, and where do you want the money to go? And also, you mentioned any sort of new business that comes up. Uh, the uh, the the our uh, the people that have our agencies. Uh, the beneficiary might be some 80-year-old woman who
yep,
doesn't have no interest in talking to merchants.
hmm,
So we'll make arrangements to have those sold. You'll continue to receive ongoing income from the business that whomever built this built. So there's new business that comes in. The person that we have working that business, they get a lot of the upfront money, but or they probably get all the upfront money, but you still get some of that back in additional. Your income could grow if you know from
and
being a beneficiary of somebody who
that
built
that
this.
that's all in place already. It's not like, okay, now we got to scramble around and try to find. It's like this is just what happens. We already have people that can.
Right.
I mean, it's all because and those are things you think about as you get older, especially if you have a spouse or a child or someone that if you've spent your life getting free with this person and you pass away, and all of a sudden they're not free because there goes your investment.
Well, right. Or if
Like,
you have a job, or if you have
right,
your own business, right? It's probably just you're gonna fold up the tent. You're gonna just shut it down. Hopefully you can find a buyer, probably can't. That's not quick nor easy to do.
right,
So if something happens, yeah, here there's a huge, easy to get into. You can make a ton of money. You can get free. And if something happens to you, the people that you care about are covered.
right.
And we've had that happen. We've done this long enough that we've
Mhm.
had people die.
I could think of two off the top of my head that we've
Yeah, exactly.
to us, so or to them,
Yeah.
but
Well, and one of those is, I think one of the two I remember. One was a surprise, and we
yeah,
didn't know. Holy cow! This
yep,
woman died, and had no idea. Um, and then there was a guy who's like, I'm not going to make it much longer. I want to build something to hand off,
mhm,
and he did.
yeah, yeah, and one was 20 years ago. Uh, Snow was the guy's last name. His wife still got the money for, still is.
Yeah,
I mean,
it feels good. It feels good to be involved in that.
yeah,
To do that because it's the right thing to do.
it is. Yeah,
Again, this is we have a franchise like opportunity where you build freedom.
right,
Other places that have a franchise opportunity is where you work a business whether you're making snow cones, packing packages,
Right.
mailing boxes, you know, unclogging people's
Ugh.
toilets,
Just
what,
the thought of that, just like, and I get it. Not everybody's cut out to be a salesperson because there's obviously a large amount
yeah,
that goes on. Some people are just don't want to or can't, figure out how to communicate like that. But I saw one
yeah.
bathroom remodeling and I'm going, man, I'd rather light my hair on fire and run into traffic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Well, let's look at this. Okay, Kona Ice, all right. But it's so look, so maybe there's a couple different things we can do. We go, all right, what it costs to get in, what it costs to um, operate, um, the moving parts, employees, uh, real estate overhead, that sort of thing. Kona Ice, start there. So you've got basically $100,000 to $200,000 upfront investment. Oh, I see. It's a food
Food
truck. Okay. So you get to drive your food truck around and selling, I don't know. Uh,
insurance on the truck, fuel on the truck.
yeah.
I'm not sure what this minimum cash required is. Does that mean you got to have 20 grand that you send them, or hey, you got to pay us 102 to 189, plus you need a bankroll of 20 grand to get this cooking? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
whole concept of net worth required 25 grand. Yeah, franchisee.
Available. Oh, and then you have to have an available. Let's scroll down. What are the available markets, Ian? Okay. There's a lot of them.
Yeah,
you know, you
right.
imagine, all right, how do you make that one work? It's a Kona Ice truck. So you drive it around. In Minnesota, you're going to have a heck of a time. You better drive it south in the winter.
Yeah, right,
you know, and then of course you're violating the franchise agreement because you're getting into somebody else's territory.
right.
Um, all that kind of stuff. Uh, if your truck breaks down, then in the hottest day of the year, you're not going to sell any snow cones. All right, let's go back to the list. I don't know. It's just let's. I'm being a little facetious, but in real life, that's so you drive around selling snow cones, and maybe that sounds fun, and maybe you want to put your 150 grand up front and spend
Right.
your life doing that. But how where's that going to go? Where does that lead? And granted, since it's a truck, maybe people don't expect you to be at the same place every day. It's not a fixed piece of it's not fixed real estate. You don't have rent. There's some aspects of that that I guess, if that's what you want to do. I don't know what the
And I,
I don't know, you're probably not going to be able to take a tremendous amount of there's no passive income. So does it have passive income? Absolutely
no,
not. There's your ice machine better work. Your truck better not break down. It's just you going. You're probably going to work a lot of weekends because you're going to park your truck somewhere where, like down by the beach,
mhm.
where people are going to go every weekend, and so you're going to spend a lot of. You're going to,
And I mean, look at these. Like,
I don't know.
look at Christian Brothers Automotive, $500,000. Vacations. One. When's the last time you've used a travel agent?
I it's been I don't even know. 20 years, something like
Yeah.
that.
I just think that would be
Maybe.
a tough business. That would be
Though I did speak with a girl the other day who she just got married, and where are they going? Where'd they say they're going? Anyway, I forget where they're going. Um, but Japan. They're going to Japan, and so they are using a vacation planner for that.
huh,
And yeah, but you're right. There can't be much demand for this anymore.
I don't know.
Well, so it costs, 3 to 25,000 to get into it.
Right.
It costs, yeah, that's about what it costs to get in with us, and we'll teach you how to get free,
Right.
so you can go on the cruise.
Right.
Go on cruises all the time. You can live on a boat if you want. Once you're up to speed. So yeah, and fast signs. How many different signs do people need? I guess I know a guy who has a sign company, and when it's an election, he sells a lot to people who are
Oh,
running for office,
mm, mm.
and he doesn't care if he prints them in red or blue, but that's
Here's
I
the
don't know. There's just Just you better love making signs.
Yeah, every other year you have a good year. So I don't know,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
every 2 years.
New again houses.
Traveling Tom's coffee truck. Oddly enough, I've never heard of most of these. I mean, obviously, fast signs. I think everybody's heard of that.
Yeah. Well, you've heard
But,
of two men in a truck, probably.
yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've
That's interesting. So it costs them somewhere between 100 and $500,000 to
right.
get into that. They've got to have at least 80 grand up front, and then they got to go to work. It's like with the franchise, you're buying a job. So now that you've
Mhm.
got this truck, now
Yeah.
you better go to work getting some work so you can,
Well, and you
strain your
got to find
back
one
and
more guy. You got to find at least one more guy,
yeah,
right?
right. Hey, you ever lifted a fridge?
No, thank. It's funny as you get older too. Like, I haven't moved in. Well, I moved 3 years ago and I built a new house. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to hire that. Not,
Yeah,
no, I want my exercise in the gym. I don't want my exercise moving weird furniture up and down stairs, contorting around corners. That's a young man's game. And then when I look at some of these too, and that's the thing that I think is really interesting is that some of these things, I mean, it is a younger person's game. I mean, you've got to have
yeah,
different, it's a whole different kind of lifestyle. I don't want that. I want to have a
yeah.
where
Well,
I can do the things I want to
there
do.
it is, the lifestyle. It's
Huh?
this is your this life is it turns out to be kind of short. And so, what's the style of life that you really want?
Right?
Do you want to so many of these things you just I mean, I have a certain taste for freedom, right? So I only have an interest in in passive income and freedom. And
Right.
so that's just me. That's me, and I know I can figure out how to do it. You don't have to figure out how to do it because we have a system that will show you, and we'll work with you to build it. And the game is how fast can you? So if you have that attitude, when you look at this stuff, so many things but if you didn't know what to do, if you're going, man, I don't know, I just, I don't want to have a real job. I want to have my own thing.
Mhm.
And I don't want to I don't know, I want to have to try to figure it out. So you go to something like this and you're going to start checking in. Oh, let me look at that cleaning business. You know, there's, I don't know, the style of life. One of the things that most everybody misses is the style of life that you want to build.
And
Uh,
guys that are looking like that, guys go, well, I don't have a job. Okay. How realistic is it for someone who's going, well, I don't have a job, but I have the resources to throw $250,000 down on a franchise? It's not. No, it doesn't happen like that. Guys that have wherewithal got there for a reason, most likely. I don't know what the drive is to some of those, quite frankly. I can't picture that. It's like, why would I spend $500,000 to get a fast sign franchise? What are the benefits of that? Why can't I just open my own signs? I don't know, because I get everything.
Yeah, I would imagine the system, because
Yeah,
you imagine
maybe.
where'd fast signs come from. I would imagine somebody came up with the idea. They go, man, I can really whip these out slick. I don't want another shop. They probably did. They probably had a
Yeah,
shop here, there, over there. And they
right.
go, you know what? Why don't we just franchise this thing and show other people how to do the same? There's people that want to have their own business and don't want to have their, because starting your own restaurant or starting your own sign shop, how does anybody know about you? Of course, how does anybody know when you buy a franchise?
Right.
So you probably because they probably have in their little McDowell's fast signs manual. They go, all right, here's how, or they have conference calls. Here's how we find
I've
we find advertising works really well. Or here's who you want to contact. Here's the political organizations. Contact political organizations.
right.
Call them up. Send this mailer do all this stuff. Here's the process to get a hold of these people. And so I don't have to dream it up. Like, man, I'd love to be in the sign business. That sounds awesome. I love the smell of ink, in the late hours of the night when I'm pressed to get the job. I love that. I love that. So I want to make a lot of signs. Okay. But I don't know how to go get the business.
A half a million bucks.
So it's probably a system.
If I'm investing $500,000 into something, there better be a tremendous upside to that. So, I mean, you better be moving a lot of signs, or maybe I can just get the semi-fast franchise that's only 200,000. I don't know,
Yeah.
but that's a lot of dough right
It's
there.
the semi-fast. Yeah, it's not quite as fast as the fast
But
version.
it's
It's
cheaper.
just, some people don't wanna go that fast, right?
Right.
So yeah, this one will give you half the manual
Mhm.
and, it's only half the price.
Right.
That's a g You might wanna get into the franchise selling business.
I might be. Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah. Instead of the double arches, you give them 1, and it's much cheaper.
the golden there's
Yeah, it's the 1 arch burger, you know?
exactly.
It's called Archie's or
Yeah.
something. Go, "Well, how'd that come up?" "Well, McDonald's is really expensive."
So for somebody
Oh,
who's looking at
shoot.
franchises and they're looking, they're looking at this list and saying, okay, what like I can move furniture. You know what? I'm pretty confident I can flip burgers. Like
Right.
who's not a good fit for you guys?
You know what? That's a great question. It's a really great question because who is a really good fit are most people who have had their own business.
Mhm.
Because in our training, part of our training is who's a good fit are people who have had a business. Because in our training, we can go, all right, remember, and you can go down the whole list of types of businesses that we just saw,
Right.
and pick out the things that we just picked out, and go, remember how? Do you ever have a problem with your snow cone truck? Did the ice machine ever break? What kinds of things did you run into that snagged you up? Or when you're talking to people, when you had the sign business, how'd you get the business? Oh, I contacted, okay. Just like you contacted those folks, we're going to use what you already know, and we're going to go after a little different target. So, so the best candidates for getting free with our Freedom Challenge
Right.
are all those people who've had one of those franchises that go, I just can't get the style of life. I can't get the life that I've always wanted to live doing this thing. And so they're good, hardworking people. They just go, gosh, dang it. I need more out of life. There's got to be more to life than this, than signs and snow cones and cleaning services and moving things with a truck. And if you are one of those people, because some people, the potential, like I had some stuff moved the other day over here, from over there, and these guys probably do not have the potential
Right.
to get into a business like this.
Yeah.
This is you want to, they probably don't have the interest, they don't have the ambition, probably don't have the potential, the communication skills, all that kind of thing. But there are a lot of really good people who have fantastic drive and communication skills and ability that they're going, man, there's got to be more to life than this. What can I do? That's what works perfectly here. So what doesn't is the opposite of that.
Right.
So if you go, man, I like moving stuff. That's my thing. I love the feel of smell of diesel fuel in the morning and a refrigerator on my back and a blown out knee. Or whatever. But you know what? But for some people that having a moving truck and doing that,
Yeah.
you know what? God bless them. I'm glad that they exist. And I'm glad that I can rely on this guy. I've used him probably 6 times
Mhm.
for moving things, and I love him for it. I appreciate it. Um, so he probably wouldn't be a really good candidate for what we're doing. But there are a lot of good people. Again, you know, a little better than average communication skills, and a drive to have a lot more freedom in their days and their future, and building an asset that can continue to build. And they're building two of them. One is the machine that brings in the business, and two is the portfolio of business that just keeps spinning, of money. Like we talked about that. It's like a vending machine. How big of a vending machine route can you build?
Right.
Uh, because you don't really have to service these things. They just say plugged in and people swipe a card and they get the product. It's kind of a cool thing. So, yeah, does
Mhm.
that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's and I guess one other kind of compare contrast that could be interesting is we can use the ice truck or a pizza shop, whatever works, as an example. But like paint the picture of the you know the daily life of running this, versus because I think there's probably two
That's a
There's
great
probably
question.
two
Yeah.
phases that people who are trying to buy a franchise are thinking about. One is like, all right, I know that I'm going to have to go in, do a lot of work, building. There's going to be this work, but the idea is that you're buying the systems. You have a lot of confidence that once it's running, it's going to be off, doing its own thing, printing. Like so. I think there's kind of painting the picture for those two kind of phases.
Yeah. Well, I would, you're right. And it changes over time. When you get in with this, you want to immerse yourself. The it's a freedom challenge. How fast, right? We're about how fast can you get free? So we don't just, it's immersion. We're getting in and we're going like mad. We're going like crazy. And so we get in and first thing we do is we look into our day. All right. We look into our day. We sit in front of a computer like we're doing now and with a phone and we make as many quality contacts as we can. Hey, this is what I do. I'm not trying to sell anybody, but I'm making connections. And if the opportunity for a sale comes up, then we try to get that. But we're building a massive referral network. And we're building a massive referral network that sends us business. And so what I want to do is I want to, we call them meaningful contacts. How many meaningful contacts can I make in a day? And so there's a craft to that. There's a system for that. Here's what, when we call them up, here's what we say, what we ask, how long it should take. It's like McDonald's, you want a squirt of ketchup, yeah, ketchup, mustard, a couple pickles, and this much onion. That's their standard. And so we have, here's who you call, here's what you say, here's what you ask, and here's what time it should take. Here's the button that you click. We built our own CRM that tracks all this stuff. Click, bing. So and we have a little counter. Here's our race. So if I want to get 30 of these today, good. I've just got one. All right, how many of these can I do in an hour? And I can do this for about 5 hours, and that's all that you can do. If you're sprinting for 5 hours, enough. You take a breather, you do something, and then you wrap up. Maybe you have sales in the afternoon, or anytime during this 5 hour period too. Sales come in, those go to the top. And so at night, when it's done, we reflect how did it go. What's my score? This is a challenge. It's a game. What's my score today? How many meaningful connections did I make? How many sales did I get? What does that mean in dollars and cents? What does that project out for my passive income? How am I? Where's this leading? So then, but that's how it works until you get to the point, and it's different. This is different for everybody, where you go, wow, that's either I can start taking more, I can do less of that work because I still have all the money. This is the only thing that you can find where you can ease up on the work and you still make all the money. so if I built the income, all right, now I can go off, take the kids to Disney World for a week and not have to worry about coming back and restarting and all the income that I missed. And that's what most people, you can't close the sign shop for a week. Who are you going to get? And maybe if you can, you still hope to God it doesn't burn down and they lock it up while you're away and all the stuff.
Right.
And you're never going to have the recurring income to be able to go to Italy for 2 months or whatever it is you want to do and still make the same amount of money as if you were still back at the shop. So so when you have all the money that you need, sometimes things change. What we see often is like if somebody wants $10,000 a month and they probably never made 10 grand, but maybe they've made 8, they'll tell you they want 10. They get up to 8 and you go, why are you slowing down? Oh, I really want to make more. No, you don't. You're fine with 8, but that's cool. That's good. And so then they just, do a little bit of business and they take a lot of time to do whatever else they wanted to, been wanting to do. Some people, on the other hand, go, I'm mashing the pedal. I'm going to keep this thing going. Chuck had mentioned a guy who makes like 300 grand a year with us in passive income. Um, that's 5 times more than he used to make doing what he did before. He owned and operated a business and he made like $65,000 and he had employees and he had taxes and he had, trying to find new employees when the old ones left, firing people because they're doing the wrong thing. Things are breaking, things are, the roof leaks, you got to fix that. He had somebody that is filing his taxes or employment taxes. They weren't. He ended up getting, $60,000. You better pay this right now, or we're going to come and, do bad things, to your credit. So you don't have all the moving part. You get to, when you're with us, you get to spend your time and energy and effort doing the things that increase your income, where every other deal you've got most of your day is doing everything except getting free.
Right.
You're dealing with employees, dealing with inventory, you're dealing with broken stuff and this and that and everything. Like, good God, it's hard to get ahead like that. Hard to get ahead like that. It's almost impossible to get ahead like that. So, but we don't have any of that stuff. We have, let's do what builds, creates, and makes money, builds passive income. Um, that's what we do. That's it.
Yeah, and it's really what your day looks like in the beginning, and as more and more success, your day looks a lot different a year, 2 years
Yeah.
down the road, where a lot of these, like I'm sure the fast sign guy or whomever, their day's going to look the same until they decide to unplug. So,
Yep.
I just different. It's would you
Yeah.
rather dig ditches all day or work with what's between your ears. Just a different
Yeah.
skill.
Yeah. It's not the same old, same old,
Right.
like, like when you have let's just say the number of years under your belt, let's say that Chuck and I have, you start your friend, you hear it from your friends or people that you go, God, I'm just so sick of and tired of doing this. I just, but I've only got 17 more years.
Mm.
Like, wow. And then I'm going to be free. Or if they quit, they don't know what to do
Right.
because this is, this gives you the opportunity. It gives you time, gives you downtime, gives you time to pursue your other interests. Because you're building, you've got the passive income coming in. It gives you time to do other things. So you have interest in activities and things going on. I have a friend right now who retired and literally he's depressed. I mean, I'd say he's clinically depressed.
I've
He
seen
doesn't get off the couch. He doesn't care. He doesn't go.
that. Mhm.
He does, because he worked so hard at his job, worked his way up, and this is not entrepreneurial, but he worked his way up the corporate ladder, doing all the stuff, and it was all about the company.
Mhm.
And then he's like, I'm just burned out. I can't take it anymore. So he retires because he made enough money and he invested it, and he's out of enough, has enough. I can retire, but now he's depressed.
Well,
I mean, he's
what you said there, what really is you have time to work on other interests, right? Like I've had a lot of buddies that have gone, man, when I retire, I'm really going to pick up golf. And then they start picking up golf. They don't have the physical capabilities they did 30 years ago when they should have been picking up golf. So they get
yeah,
frustrated. Now there's nothing for them to do. So they're bummed out, right? What I love about being free earlier in the game is you're building those other interests. So now when you retire, you just have more time to do the things that you already do. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So if things are built, you're building other, because there's like a professional and personal life. Let's just because I don't know how to articulate it any other way. If you're constantly building your professional life and you're not working on your personal life, you're going to work on that when you retire. You don't have the energy you did 30 years ago. So build
no,
this with it. And you know what? It's a lot more satisfying. Your relationships with other important people in your life are a lot more satisfying because you're not so tunnel vision on something that's never going to get you free anyway until you're 67 and can retire because you just can't build anything else. I don't know. It's just whole
right,
lifestyle. It's amazing, isn't it? Just the
yeah.
lifestyle
Well,
difference.
it's so different. It's almost hard to compare.
Right.
Uh, yeah, because people who have never done it, they don't know what to make of it. I don't know what they think that you do, or what you've done, or what they think they're going to do,
Mm.
once they retire. And if yeah, you have so many more opportunities over the course of your life, or the course of your professional life,
Right.
do a lot more personal things. Both Chuck and I have traveled a lot, and I've had a couple people go, man, you've been really busy traveling, and I think, no, I don't have any idea or feeling that that's what it felt like. Oh man, you've been busy traveling. No, no, and I really haven't thought of it like. that at all, because it's just, it's what I wanted to do for lifestyle. And so if that's the lifestyle that I want, then I need to do my work life in a certain way. So I've got the time and money to do all these other things that I enjoy doing, where that's not part of the equation when you buy a franchise. It's just not. Maybe the Kona Ice thing, you go, I'm just going to work in the summertime, drive my truck around, and in this. Okay, good. Then do that, and just understand the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows I have in that kind of business. If you have a retail location, it's going to be open all year round, and you've got employees and you've got all these things. Well, that's going to be a heavy weight
Yep.
on your the personal part of your business than the life. That's going to determine your lifestyle. And I would rather determine my lifestyle and then figure out how to make it the work life pay for that, as opposed to getting buying a franchise or having some sort of job and that dictating the lifestyle I can have, because that's what most people have. And that's why I think most people, when they look at us, they go, I don't understand how that they they're not sure how that works. Because it's the opposite. You're looking at lifestyle and creating lifestyle, and then you're the way we do our system, the system we've created is to is goes hand in hand with the lifestyle. It was the life, I don't think it was the lifestyle first, because weren't smart enough we weren't forward, we didn't understand to ask it that way,
Right.
when we were doing it. It's just like, how can I build this absolutely faster and have, be able to do this everywhere? And, a little different question, but it evolved. And you go, yeah. But this is when I ask this question, it really sheds a lot of light on the system and how that works and how you want it to work. And any sort of system that you do, any sort of work that you do and how you do the work. Anyway, I don't know if that made sense, but most people don't look at it that way. Their freedom comes with a couple weeks of their 1 week of the year. They get to go to the vacation, like John Mellencamp song, vacation down at the Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
They get to do that once a year. The rest of the time they're working, don't like to work, just looking for that 1 week a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever, however many weeks you have. But what if how do you flip that in a way that you look at your days differently and you go, yeah, but what if your job is to build freedom? My job is to build freedom, and not 20 years from now. It's like, how can I get essences of freedom like right away? And when I know when I started doing, what I do and what we do, it wasn't, man, I worked 80 hours a week, but I don't mind that. I don't mind working 80 hours a week to build freedom over the course of a couple of years. That's okay for me. I don't, because I'm building a machine. Most people they just work. Uh, they just work, whether it's a job or a franchise. They just go to work. Our job is building a machine that spins off a lot of business, building a machine that gives you a lot of freedom, building a portfolio. We're building. So, I don't mind building. It's like building a house. Do you want to take a lifetime to build a house? Do you want to build it really quick so you can live in it? I want to build this. So this challenge is, how fast can I build my financial and freedom house,
Right.
so I can live in it.
I got a buddy that he's retired now, and he says, you're only given some work hours in your lifetime. I wanted to get all mine out of the way up front. And I thought, oh, I mean, it's the concept, right? It's what it is. It's like,
Yeah.
I'd rather do this for 100 hours a week in the beginning, to know that, 5 years from now, I can work like 2 hours a week and I can still make the same money.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
I'd rather,
Yeah. Holy cow.
yeah.
Holy. And along the way too. And, I always say, I use the word number 7, if it takes 7 years, and it's not like I'm working 100 hours a week for 7 years.
Right.
I'm probably working 70 hours a week, maybe 80
Right.
for I'm working hard for the first couple of years. And then I put my head above water, and it's like, wow, I've got
Momentum.
more passive income than I ever made in upfront income. And so, and I've got business coming in, and at that point, it doesn't take long. And then even if you're not making all the money that you want at that point, you built the system. So your passive income continues to increase. So you built the machine that brings in the business,
Right.
and it continues to bring it in for years. And so then when you're have the ability to have a lot of downtime, you're still you're still adding to your income. Probably you could be adding to your income at the same pace, maybe even faster,
Right.
and working fewer hours because you built that machine for the first couple of years. It's a it's a it's a totally different deal. But if you're interested in doing it, the 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 entry fee is not really high. We don't take everybody. Just like at a franchising, to take everybody,
Right.
where they have certain pretty high financial bar.
Right.
We have a pretty low financial bar, but it's more of your experience. If you've had a business before, good person, man, I'm working hard. I'm doing all the things that they tell me to do in the manual. Or whether even if it's your own business, maybe it's your market, maybe it's the way you're going about it, but you go, man, there's got to be more to life than this. I want more freedom. There's so many things in life I want to do that this doesn't allow me to
Right.
do. How can I? All right, that's the kind of experience and openness to seeing new ways. Is that fits great with us.
Well said.